Welcome along to Silverstone, everybody, for the Radical Challenge combined with the SR1 Cup race here for their pit stop race at round 12 of the championship for the Radical Challenge, at round 9 for the SR1 Cup. Very quickly, because the cars are already towards the end of their formation lap, guide you through the grid. 39 James Lay starts from pole position, 77 Noah Dimebold sits alongside. Row 2 John McLeod and Gustavo Raffles, and row 3 Anthony Ayres and James Sweetnam. Row 4 is Matt Jones and Jason Rishover. Row 5 Chris Preen and Chris Short. For the lead of the SR1s, Darren De Leon, the number 2 car, starts from pole alongside Tom Fleming, with Ben Casely and Dougie Bolger, who joins us today but wasn't racing yesterday, on row number 2. And it's Tom Wood and the Nuttons, Darren and George, on row number 3. Grey skies, drizzly conditions out there. It's going to make things very, very difficult. Tyre choice is open for the cars. It's been declared wet for this afternoon, so it throws the decision regarding tyres very much into the hands of the drivers. So the race is about to get underway. Up towards the start-finish line now go. James Lay gets his foot down and accelerates up towards Cops Corner, but it doesn't look as though it's a bad start from John McLeod or Noah Dimebold either. But it's going to be Noah Dimebold who might, on the less polished surface around the outside, sweep his way through. Running wide is Jason Rishover all over the run-off tarmac, but it is Noah Dimebold that has picked up the early lead of the race. James Lay, the championship leader, is there in second place, and that black and blue car there in third place is James Sweetnam, who's had a great start. The lead of the SR1s, they carve their way through Cops Corner for the first time, and it looks as though it is going to be Darren De Leon that is going to pick up the early lead of the Radical SR1s with their 1340cc engines, compared to what are largely SR3s that are in the main Radical Challenge Championship. There's one interloper into that, that's the Radical SR10 of the American Jim Booth, who joins us for this weekend. So everybody's safely through the first few corners. You can see the spits of rain on the cameras. This is a 45-minute race, which means that everybody has to pit at one point, and the pit window opens after the 18th minute of the race. It remains open for 10 minutes, and during that period of time everybody has to come into the pit lane and remain stationary for 45 seconds, plus any success seconds that you pick up. And we do have several cars that will have additional seconds they need to pick up on, and that is the likes of the car in second place, James Lay, because he won the last endurance race that we had for the Radical Challenge Championship when we were at Snetterton supporting the British GTs. He's got an extra 20 seconds to spend in the pits, whereas this man here, Noah Dimebold, the race leader, has not got anything to worry about, I don't think, come the pit window, because Noah Dimebold finished outside of the top 4 at Snetterton. A spin, I'm afraid, and that's John Davis that's had a rotation. His black and gold liveried car pointing in the wrong direction. That looks as though that was on the exit of Abbey, where he'd had the spin, just caught out in what are tricky, and I would suggest continually changeable conditions. It looks as though the grey clouds above are depositing more rain onto the track than we've seen all day so far. As we said, the race was declared wet, which means that the teams then decide as to what they want to do. Do they want to run on the control Hankook slick tyre in the case of the Radical Challenge Championship competitors, or do they want to opt for the wet? You can see them all taking subtly different lines. The wider arc through the corner in the wet conditions usually offers up more grip, largely because the surface is less polished, but already you can start to see those telltale rooster tails of moisture coming out the back of the cars as they head over the start-finish line. Lap number 1 completed. Noah Dimebold leading the way by 7/10 of a second from James Lay. James Sweetnam there in third place. Gustavo Raffles is in fourth place. Then it's Ben Stone, and the leading car for the Fangio Trophy for the older drivers in the field is going the way of number 23, Jason Rishover. Here comes Darren De Leon. He is leading the way as things currently stand in terms of the SR1 charge, as he works his way through the Cops Corner. And it's Andrew Gord, by the look of things, that is running there second in SR1. So down the hangar straight, top 3 have broken away from Gustavo Raffles at the wheel of the number 428 car. He's got the all-white car sitting behind him. Up towards us now comes the car of Chris Preen, looking to try and make a new move, but he was a bit too far away, I would suggest, as they went in towards Stowe Corner. And then from there, downhill into what looks like a much, much drier part of the circuit, really. The SR1's working out towards Stowe Corner. Good fight going on for third place. Dougie Bolger at the wheel of the white and red car, looking to see whether he can get himself into the overall podium spots. He's got Fraser McFadden ahead of him, and into the pit lane has come John Booth. So off are coming the slick tyres, the Valor prepared car. On are going the control Hankook wets, and that's probably not a bad decision in worsening conditions in the most powerful car that we've got in the field. Yeah, grip is going to be at a premium. You're going to have to be so gentle with the application of the throttle. So I think sensible driving there from the American. Now it looks as though Dougie Bolger here might be able to get past Fraser McFadden, sneaks his way through. Is he going to be able to stay within the confines of the circuit? Yes, he is, but Fraser McFadden is fighting back as they work their way out of Farm. He's got the inside line as they get towards Village. The door is open. Dougie Bolger is sensible and gives him just enough room because he knows that the next corner is a left-hander at the loop. And as long as he gets the car anchored up and into the apex, which he doesn't, he should hang on to the place. But yeah, Fraser McFadden saw that he was going to slither his way wide and is instantly able to seize the place back once more. And he remains at the moment third of the Radical SR1s we've got in the field. Now the SR1s in these trickier conditions, of course, less power, are going to be able to utilise that. So the front pack of the SR1s are not that far from the back of the pack of the Radical Challenge, and you can see the conditions are ever worsening again. Big wide lines being taken, that less polished surface to try and get as much adhesion as you can as you splash your way out of Luffield Corner, and now it is just getting worse and worse and worse. Look how dark the sky has become. Look at the camera lens and just how much lack of visibility you've got with all of the spray and the rain that's on it. James Lay pushing hard in second place, but it is Noah Dineball in the red car that continues to lead the way, and you can see just how much advantage these two have opened up between themselves and the car that's in third place now, which looks as though it's Ben Stone in third place. We have lost a car then. We have lost James Sweetenham somewhere. He has dropped from third, I think, down into sixth or possibly seventh position at the wheel of the number 54 car, just spotted in the background. So Ben Stone fighting away with Gustavo Raffles. And at this part of the circuit where there was no rain a lap ago, it is now absolutely bucketing down in towards the Vale. Everybody, surely, if they've started on slicks, is going to have to come in, and Stephen Ayres comes in straight away at the wheel of the Mectec prepared car. So into the pit lane he comes. Off come the Hankook slick tyres, on go the wets, and you've simply got no choice. Whilst you've got a little bit of tyre temperature, you can still continue to circulate on slick tyres, but once the circuit gets that wet, and it's now there, the slick tyres lose all of their temperature, and you then never get it back because it's just too much water on track, and then it's like driving around on ice in reality. So no choice but to come in and pop on the Hankook wet tyres for the remainder of the race. Now, Ben Stone under pressure. He's got Mark Williams, former Radical SR1 racer, behind him. Mark Williams has taken over the lead of the Fangio category for the older drivers in the field as a result of, I think, Jason Rishover having come into the pits to change from slicks onto wets. And a big, big, big wiggly moment there coming out of Aintree Corner. Just going to show you, pop your wheels on the wet tarmac now and onto the wet curbs in particular. The car is going to start to snap sideways, and that was Gustavo Raffles, I think, that had a bit of a moment there and just about caught the car. So, threading our way through. We are, what, 8 minutes into this race so far almost. You can see just how much conditions have changed, because look at the plume of spray that's coming out the back of Noah Dineball's car. He has clearly chosen to start on the wet tyre because the pace that he is carrying is as quick as anybody else out there. And in fact, the last lap that he did was a 1 minute 31. And that is the best part of a couple of seconds quicker than James Laker managed in second place, who has dived for the pit lane, James Lace. We must have started on slicks. Into the pit lane also comes Elliot Goodman, and I think I also saw diving into the pit there Daryl de Leon as well, potentially at the wheel of his Radical SR1. Of course, he was leading the SR1 charge. So that is now going to put, I think, the number 20 car into the lead, the SR1s, which is Tom Wood. So into the pit lane comes James Sweetenham. There is Elliot Goodman just going past in the background. The 360 team going to work, looking to change those tyres on the car as quickly as possible to minimise it. Remember, all of this is happening before the pit window, so you might come in and change your tyres from slick to wet, but that doesn't count as your pit stop because the pit window is not open yet. It's not going to open until 18 minutes into the race, and we're only, what, 7.5, 8 minutes in. So splashing our way out of Chapel along the Hanger Straight, looking as though under pressure here for position is Andy Lowe. Jigging out from behind Andy Lowe comes the car of Tom Wood, who has picked up the lead of the SR1s at the moment. As we say, the SR1s in these conditions are not going to be that much slower than the more powerful SR3s. And Tom Wood, yeah, up 5 positions on the previous lap, leading the SR1s. Then Dougie Bolger up 7 positions, second in the SR1s, running 12th and 13th over all of these two cars. Spin in the background for Fraser McFadden. Oh, and he's thumped by the number 53 car that just couldn't get anchored up in time, I'm afraid to say. So that is Ben Casely that's clobbered Fraser McFadden's car, which is still stricken in the circuit. There's further spins as well, I'm afraid. James Ockenden goes round. It looks as though the Darren and George Nutter number 45 car goes round. Darren gets going. James Ockenden gets it onto the grass and then pirouettes further. And for poor old Fraser McFadden, who was the man that started all of that, he has now parked the car off on the outer edges of the circuit. Is he going to be able to get going again? He's in a safe-ish position, I would say. Still not safe enough. You can see the damage to the right rear corner of the car. But hopefully our fantastic Silverstone marshals will get to assist him, and hopefully they'll be able to push him out of the way rather than need the requirement of a safety car. We've got a few cars also that have some stop-go penalties, we're being informed, and that is to do with the number of people that were working on the car when it came into the pits, because you are limited for the amount of people that can work on the car. Now, I'm afraid that one of those is Chris Short, who is running in 9th position, the number 11 car. One of them is the number 58 car of Anthony Ayres, who is now running down in 27th position and is a man who's right at the sharp end of the championship, remember. And the other one is Jim Booth at the wheel of his Radical SR10, who was the first of those to dive into the pit lane. All of those are going to incur stop-go penalties because of the manning levels on the car when the car came into the pit lane. So it's a while still before the pit window opens. We're, what, 11 minutes in, another 7 minutes before the pit window opens. Noah Dimeball, the race leader, is in as well. So that goes to show that he did not potentially start on the wet tyre as I originally thought. He must have started on the slick, which means that this car here, Mark Williams, may well pick up the lead of the race this next time through. So he just works his way out of club, splashes his way past the wing down the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight, and then up towards what is a daunting corner in dry conditions, and in skitty conditions, very wet conditions as they are, is going to be even more daunting, that being the flick at Abbey. Won't be flat anymore at Abbey. Then round through Farm and in towards the heavy braking area for Village, and that's another corner you need to be careful with now, because it's going to be so easy to snatch a brake in these cars. I'm sure all of the drivers will have just adjusted the brake bias to suit these conditions, and Mark Williams is on his own really in the lead of the race at this stage. Behind him on track is John McLeod at the wheel of the number 14 car, but John has been into the pits to change tyres, so he is a lap adrift in reality of the car that he's sitting behind, which is going to pick up the lead of the race potentially this time through. That being number 18, Mark Williams, who has a bit of a slithery moment again there. Now, the last lap time for Mark Williams was a 2:28. His best is a 2:26, so I do think he started on the wet tyre, and now those that started on the slick and have gone into the pits for wets, they might be quicker than him, but they've lost so much time coming into the pits that they are the best part of a lap down, really, John McLeod. So here he comes over the start-finish line, John. Front runner in this championship for a good number of years, but all he's done there is unlap himself. He has not taken the lead of the race. He is still showing as being way, way down through the order, John McLeod, and is in something like 23rd position. Now Noah Dimeball has just come out of the pit lane, has Noah. So this is going to be for position. Number 77 car looking to try and get past the 18 car of Mark Williams. So Noah Dimeball has been able to get into the pits, get the car serviced, change the tyres, and is looking to try and carve his way back through and ahead. And now all of a sudden we've had all of this rain. The sun is coming out, blue sky, which means that all of a sudden the conditions are going to change once more. I did suggest this at the beginning of the race, that I thought the conditions would be changeable. Well, they're still on the right tyre, without question. Wets are the way to go, as Noah Dimeball right the way around the outside of Mark Williams manages to squeeze his way through, and that will be for position, and should in theory now be for the lead of the race potentially. We'll have to wait and see. Or is that Noah Dimeball just unlapping himself? No, I think that's Dimeball unlapping himself after his pit stop. So Mark Williams, number 18, will still be the race leader because he hasn't pitted as yet. And in fact, all of the cars inside the top 10 have done exactly that. They've started on the wet tyre, and clearly that's the way to go. Now, the thing now will be, now we've got the sunshine out there, the ambient temperature is very warm, the track is going to dry very quickly. The next thing you need to do is look after your wet tyres. So once the circuit starts to dry, we're going to start to see all of the cars, down the straights in particular, move off the drying line onto the wet line to try and cool the tyres down, because if the tyres start to overheat, the blocks will start to move around. You will suffer with ever decreasing amounts of grip. We're not quite there yet, but another lap or so, I think we're going to start to see in a few places around the circuit. Yeah, you can definitely see a dry line, the racing line, and I think be wise, particularly down the Wellington Straight, move off, get onto the wetter part of the circuit, because the clouds that were above have moved away to a degree. Might not look like it from that shot, but by the time they head onto the start-finish line and we look at the camera from Cops looking down the start-finish line, you'll see the blue sky, and you might also be able to see the sunshine starting to peek its way through. Now, Noah Dimeball, having pitted, is through and over the start-finish line in 22nd position. That's the car that arguably was in for a good position in this race, because Noah Dimeball has no extra time to spend stationary in the pits come the pit window opening. And we're there now, I think, aren't we? Because it's a couple of minutes before we see that pit window open, 45-minute race, and we're not far away from the first 18 minutes having elapsed. So shortly, we'll see these cars come in. Now, if I were Mark Williams, I'm leading the race. I'm on the right tyres at the moment because I made that decision in the assembly area to start on the Hankook wet tyre. The conditions are changing again and might not favour the wet in a few laps' time. I would stay out as long as you possibly can in this window to give you as best an opportunity to, or as good opportunity to try and work out what the correct tyre will be for part two of the race. And if you leave it as late as possible, you might just be able to work out whether you stay on the wet or whether you actually in the pit stop swap onto a slick to give you the better tyre for part two of the race. You can see the blue sky there, a few little breaks in the sky. It's not half as wet and half as gloomy as it looked a few laps ago, as we hit 35% of the race done. Now, who's leading SR1 at this stage? It is number 53, Ben Casely, that's leading the Radical SR1 charge, is it? No, it's Dougie Bolger in 4th place overall. I did say the SR1s would be up on pace with the challenge cars. Yes, the pit stops have shuffled it as they've changed for tyres, but the SR1s run a different tyre to the challenge cars, so Dougie Bolger has just been pushing on and pushing on and pushing on. And actually, if I look at the lap times that he's posting, he's not doing a bad job out there at the moment. Fastest lap of the race last time through, James Lay, inside the top 10 now for the man who started from pole position. 2 minutes 21.595 for the number 39 car. He'll be one to watch. There is Wesley Fongini at the wheel of the number 10 car, trying to carve his way round and past Jack Yang, which he does reasonably effortlessly. So Wesley Fongini is down in 28th position, or was at the beginning of this lap. So he is a long way down through the order. He's another one of those that has pitted. In fact, there's only, if you look at the top 17 cars we've got in this race at the moment, there's only 2 that have pitted in there, all the rest haven't. In 10th is James Lay, and the other one is number 54, which is James Sweetnam, who is 12th. But other than that, if you're inside the top 17, you did not pit. It just goes to show those that did pit, how much time it's cost them, and is there sufficient time now in these changing conditions again as it gets ever drier to make up that deficit? I'm not entirely sure there is. So Mark Williams comfortably leads the way here at the wheel of the number 18 car. He is already onto the hangar straight, and the car that's in second, Ben Stone, has only just crossed the start-finish line. So the number 18 car leads by 35 3/4 seconds at the moment. And for Mark Williams, this is a staggering performance from him. He's had a bit of bad luck this year with plenty of non-finishes and a few non-starts. His best finish is 5th so far. I don't think since graduating from the SR1 Cup he's had a win in the Radical Challenge. In fact, I know for sure he hasn't, because he moved up into the challenge for this year. At the moment he's showing everybody a clean pair of heels. Now this is Peter Tyler at the wheel of the number 80 machine, looking to try and get past Gustavo Raffles. This is for position. Both of these have pitted when the rain fell, and it is for 26th and 27th position at the moment overall in the race. So Gustavo Raffles started 4th. He's running 26th at the moment. Peter Tyler started 13th. He's running 27th. And look, where's all that spray gone? All of a sudden, circuit is now dry. You have got to now start to move over onto the wet lines and try and cool your tyres down. If you pitted for the wet, which everybody did, your tyres are now going to start to begin to overheat, and again this will favour the likes of the SR1s. Tom Wood is right at the sharp end in the number 20 car of the SR1s. He is second of the SR1 Cup at the moment, because it is Dougie Bolger, the number 50 car, who is a rookie in the SR1s. He is running third overall, and he actually leads the SR1 category from this car now, number 20. Who is trying to squeeze his way through and past Chris Breen, and that's for position as well. So that's now Tom Ward up into 4th place overall, and the number 4 car of Chris Breen drops down into 5th, and that's good for Tom Wood, because the car he's hunting down is that white and red car just ahead of him, the number 50 car in the hands of Dougie Bolger. So 25 minutes to go. There goes Dougie Bolger out of shot. A big wiggle from Tom Wood as he came around through Farm there and in towards the braking area for Village and the Loop. You can still see the spray coming up from within the wheel arches of the SR1, just at the back of that front wheel arches, the telltale, as you see it just work its way out of the side skirts of the body. Pit window is now open, of course, so we're going to start to see maybe some cars dive for the pits, but as I suggested, leave it as long as you can, I would say, in these conditions, because you don't know how much the track is going to evolve again. Are we going to have another sprinkle of rain in the next 10 minutes, which is how long the pit window is open, in which case you'll need to stay on the wets. If it's just going to stay and get ever drier in the next 10 minutes, you might want to take the opportunity to change back onto the slick. So by leaving it as long as possible, you give yourself the best, most informed way to make that decision. As over the start-finish line comes the number 50 car of Dougie Bolger, 3rd place overall at the moment. He might be 62, almost 63 seconds off the lead, but he's running 3rd overall in the combined SR1 Cup and Radical Challenge Championship race. And remember, points up for grabs for Dougie Bolger. 80 points for a race win, as it's an endurance race rather than the standard 40 that the SR1 Cup competitors were scoring yesterday. It's the same for Radical Challenge as well. You double the points when it comes to the pit stop race, and you double the points for both fastest lap and pole positions as well. So Dougie Bolger, 3rd place overall. Behind him, however, now though, is James Lay. So this is the first of the cars that has pitted. The number 39 car of James Lay will close in. Last time through, James Lay was 12 seconds quicker than the number 50 car of Dougie Bolger. So I think it will be short-lived, this overall podium spot. But either way, it's been a brilliant, brilliant performance from him. And now the pit window is open. In they all descend. So Andy Lowe heads into the pit lane. It looks as though also into the pit lane is Jack Yang. The number 3 car comes in, which is John Davis, heading down pit lane as well. We saw him have a spin early on. So for most of these, this is their 2nd pit visit of the race so far. And here now comes James Lay. This is for 3rd overall. The SR3, far more power, just eases its way past the leading SR1. So that is Dougie Bolger down to 4th, but more importantly, he is still the leading Radical SR1 Cup car that we've got in the field at this stage. And again, you can see he's still taking those slightly wider lines. The sunshine is definitely out, because you can see the shadow of the car on the tarmac now. Still see the spray coming out, so it's still damp at some parts of the circuit. But look here, look, through here, as he runs very wide, bone dry on the Wellington straight. Well, not quite, still a bit of spray coming out from behind. Certainly some parts of the circuit, substantively drier than it was before. And looking out of the windows, there's still blue sky out there. The difficulty is, we've got blue sky at the moment, but there's some more black clouds in the distance. And are they going to hit with the remaining 22 minutes? We're past halfway point now as well, so just past half distance. And as for Noah Dineball, that red car there, he was, of course, right at the sharp end, having pitted. He's still down in 15th at the moment, as our race leader, Mark Williams, is threading his way through the traffic. Jacek Zielonka he's just dealt with at the wheel of the all-yellow number 88 car. The next car he's going to get past is going to be James Hadley's car. So this is James Hadley, who is running in 17th position. He is now lapped by our race leader. And we've also got the fastest lap of the race, suggesting that the conditions are starting to improve ever more. So 2 minutes 18.943 for James Lay, the race leader. And amazingly, that is 7 seconds quicker than our race leader is doing. James Lay is still 62 seconds behind this number 18 car, but the rate of close is substantive at the moment. However, remember, we've also got those success seconds to worry about come the pit stop window. In comes Tom Fleming. So Tom Fleming, who started this race second of the SR1s in the field and is currently 5th position he was when he came into the pit lane. You can see just how wet it is in the pit still compared to the rest of the circuit. Final bit of countdown being done to ensure they're stationary for the correct period of time. And with 20 minutes to go, Mark Williams doesn't opt to pit this time through, so still presses on in the lead of the race. The number 18 car still comfortably leading the way at the moment from the number 5 all-white machine of Ben Stone, who is a long, long way adrift in second position. But I think may well get caught before too much longer from the charging black car with its yellow flashes, number 39 in the hands of James Lay. So Mark Williams has not really, in the Radical Challenge, been in this position before, leading the race, leading very comfortably. Pit window is open, he could come in, he's got no success seconds to worry about. Everything is sort of working well for him, I would say, at this stage. He might not be the quickest car out there, but the strategy and the tyre choice, absolutely perfect. So through Brundle and Nelson, and that's a big, big, big squirrely moment and a spin, I'm afraid. And that is Paul Atherton, I think, yeah, number 33 car, Paul Atherton. Gets it pointing in the right direction. He's adding 1340cc Radical SR1. Gets going again. A few places lost, a little bit of time lost, not much, but thankfully he did it largely out of harm's way there, heading in towards Beckett's. So along the hangar straight goes Paul Atherton, following his spin. Focus on the job in hand again. The difficulty is, as I say, with the circuit changing just lap after lap after lap, it does make it increasingly difficult to try and work out exactly how much grip you've got there or not, as the case may be. Thankfully for the moment, it looks as though grip levels are ever improving. Looking in the background again, more dark skies above us, I'm afraid to say. So through sides Wesley Fongini, up the inside of the Darren and George Nutton shared car. Don't know which starting driver was behind the wheel of that one. It's the only shared car that we've got in the field for this weekend, so weren't identified as to which the starting driver was, but it does die for the pit lane anyway. I think it might be Darren starting and George second. We'll have to wait and see. That's what it suggests on the timing screen, but we'll get no confirmation of that. So more pit stops taking place. James Sweetnam is in. Ross Kaiser there on the radio to him, just chatting away. Another hugely successful Radical racer over the years, with the headset on just to the left of your screen, just double checking the timings, and then Ross will give him the countdown and allow him to scoot his way back on circuit as and when the time has elapsed, which for James Sweetnam should just be the standard 45 seconds. No additional success seconds he needs to worry about following the previous races at Snetterton, when the Radical Challenge Championship supported the Intelligent Money British GT Championship. Now this is Gustavo Raffles. He's running down in 24th position at the moment. Gustavo, another one of those cars that did pit when the rain came, so still is going to have to, I think, do a second pit stop as yet. Yeah, he's only showing us having done one so far, so he'll have to come back into the pit lane at some point. Number 4 car of Chris Preen has only done one pit stop as well. That was the change from slicks to wet, so he will also be destined for the pit lane as Anthony Ayres comes in. So this is the second pit stop for Anthony Ayres, one to change to slick tyres. This is the mandatory stop that he needs to do. He's actually showing us having 3 stops, so I think he's also done a stop-go penalty because he was one of the cars that was infringing the manning levels on one of his pit stops. So it's a bit of a race that really has sort of fallen away and it's come undone really for Anthony Ayres, and even more so because he's had to spend an extra 10 seconds in the pit lane because he finished at the Snetterton race inside the top 4. So Anthony Ayres, that extra time to spend in the pit lane, he was 3rd at Snetterton. Difficulty with this race is with the conditions and people making different tyre choices, it has sort of split the field to a reasonable degree. We're not getting the great squabbles that we'd usually have. There's Ben Stone, the number 5 car of Ben Stone. Brilliant race from him. We haven't seen a lot of him. He's 51 seconds adrift of the race leader Mark Williams. Now Ben Stone is at the moment, I think, the only car that hasn't made a single pit stop, the number 5 car. Everybody else has either pitted or is in the process of pitting or is on an outlap. So Ben Stone, the number 5 car, is arguably going to pick up the lead of the race, but he's going to have to dive into the pit lane before too much longer, because we are heading towards 65% of race distance now. Remember, that pit window open, or close rather, when there are, I thought, 17 minutes to go, in which case it has closed. Now, you can go past the board that says pit window closed, but then you have to come in at the end of that lap. So Ben Stone is going to have to come in at the end of this lap, otherwise a dim view might be taken by the officials. And off, and I'm afraid, into the gravel trap we've lost one. That looks like it's number 40, James Hadley. Difficult to tell from that angle, but the coloration of the car suggests it's number 40, James Hadley, that is out of that one. And that looks as though it's at Copse Corner, turn number 1. Now, that being the case, it's not the safest of places for the car to be, and certainly not the safest of places for our marshals to be. Jack Yang fighting away with the number 22 car of Lowe, that being Andy Lowe, another graduate out of the Radical SR1 Cup. Andy would have been stationary for an extra 10 seconds come the pit stop window because of his performance at Snetterton last time out. They've got right behind them the car of Jacek Zielonka as well. And I think that will be for position as well with it. Yeah, Jacek Zielonka, the number 88 car, carving his way through and up the inside, gaining places over those around. So he's got past Andy Lowe, he's got past Jack Yang. And also Noah Dimeball started to carve his way through as well. He's inside the top 12. He's at the fastest lap of the race, did the number 77 car last time through, 2 minutes 18.312. So watch out for that charging red number 77 car, because Noah Dimeball is on an absolute flyer at the moment. To the hanger straight. This is Ben Casely. You can see the chunk taken out of the nose cone of the number 53 car, where he hit earlier on in the race the stricken Fraser McFadden when Fraser spun directly ahead of him. You can see the damage it inflicted to the nose of the number 53 car, but it's not slowing the pace really for Ben Casely, who at the moment I think is running 4th of the Radical SR1s that we've got out there. Leading the SR1s is still Dougie Bolger, the number 50 car. Now you can see, look, now they're all starting to dive for the wet parts of the circuit. I said it would happen. They can start to feel that the tyres are overheating, but the grip levels on these wet tyres on drying tarmac just aren't there anymore. So every time there's a straight, get the opportunity, move over onto the wetter part of the circuit off the usual racing line. It puts the tyres, which are hot, onto the cold water on the tarmac and just cools them off for a split second, because what these drivers don't want to be doing now is having to come back into the pit lane to change tyres again. And oh, Noah Dimeball very, very, very wide all of a sudden to try and avoid. I think that was Tom Wood's SR1 that ran out wide. So Noah Dimeball sort of gathering up the moment and lost a bit of time relative to the cars he's been chasing down, and then sweeps right the way around the outside of Gustavo Raffles as well. That will be 4 position, so that's inside the top 10 now for the number 77 car. Look at the wide line that Noah Dimeball is taking, anything to try and seek out the grip. The next car is Chris Preen, who is running in 9th place, who want to try and squeeze his way through and past. Also saw somebody dive for the pit lane there as well. So that's somebody else that's coming in now to potentially change back off the wet tyre onto the slicks, and that was Gustavo Raffles that went into the pit lane. I did say the weather would be changeable. I didn't expect it to be quite this changeable. Dry at the beginning, absolutely sopping wet a few minutes later, and now heading very much back towards drying tarmac. However, we do have the safety car coming out. Now, I can only assume that might be for James Hadley's car up at Copse Corner. We saw it spun, and in the gravel, we saw the marshals trying to assist, but maybe with that car stricken there, that is why the safety car has come out. Now, this throws another big question towards the drivers. Safety car is out there. They're all on wet tyres still, on now a drying track where they're having to move over to cool them down. 12 minutes to go. If you can zap into the pit lane quickly under the safety car, pop it from wets back onto slicks, is that going to be sufficient again to make up the time spent in the pit lane for the remaining 12 minutes? It's a big old roll of the dice, and I think a few might take that opportunity. Whether Gustavo Raffles opts to do so. One car that did come in was Ben Stone. Now, Ben Stone has only done 1 pit stop, and the pit window closed ages ago, so the number 5 car might be in the pit lane. But with so much of the race gone, I think, and surely my understanding of the regulations would be that that is outside of the pit window, and that being the case, I'm not quite sure why there's been a miscalculation by the team with regards to that. Ben Stone has been out before this season. but quite why he's come in so late. I'm not entirely sure. It's got me scratching my head a bit, unless he has been in twice, but the timing screen's not suggesting that's the case. So under safety car then, let me guide you through the order at the moment. It will change again next time they come through, so I think what I'll do is I'll just hang off until we get Mark Williams over the start-finish line. It's still showing Ben Stone as our race leader, but I know he's in the pits and has just come out of the pits and is on an out lap at the moment, so we'll wait until we get the cars back over the start-finish line and then we can confirm the full order of it. What I can tell you is that James Lay, the number 39 car, remember he was right the way down in the mid-20s, wasn't he, the number 39 car that started from the pole position. He's up to third in the race at the moment now again. He might be 60 seconds shy of erstwhile race leader Ben Stone, but he's the quickest car out there, and he's just, before the safety car, popped in the fastest lap of the race with a 2 minutes 18.041. So this is the number 60 car, Andrew Gord, who has got bottled up behind him. I think that'll be James Sweetnam's car. There's Chris Short's beautifully coloured number 11 car, which has got Dougie Bolger ahead of him. Now Dougie Bolger, remember, was and still is leading the Radical SR1 charge in this race, and he's still running in 5th place overall. The car behind him, Chris Short, is in 6th place, so when we get the race back underway, those two will be fighting for position, but you would have thought the more powerful and hugely more aero-reliant SR3 will pretty easily pick off Jamie Bolger, purely because of the performance of the SR3 over the SR1. Jamie Bolger will not make it easy though, because he'd dearly like to finish in a higher position as possible, but he'll also be conscious that he wants to see what he might be able to do to hang on to the lead of the Club Enduro SR1 aspect of the race. So you can see even on these slow conditions, just look how far over James Sweetnam and the car behind, which I think is Chris Mile possibly, are heading onto those wet bits of tarmac. Anything to try and seek out the damper tarmac to stop the Hankook tyres overheating. Hankook provide a fantastic tyre and have done for a good number of years to global Radical Championships, but no tyre at all will cope with what are ever drying conditions, and just the fact that you get the tread blocks moving around as they warm up, the grit levels just get worse and worse and worse and worse, and you can see now the tarmac is not half as wet as it was. So just to confirm then, now that we've got over the start finish line everybody sorted, number 18 Mark Williams leads the way by 8.7 seconds. Now the good thing for Mark Williams come this restart is that he has got lapped cars between himself and the car that is second in this race, which is the number 39 car of James Lay. So Mark Williams is the car behind the safety car. James Lay is the black car, but with the day glow flashes and yellow flashes to the front lights and the roll hoop. So there's about 5 or 6 cars between the race leader and James Lay. Now that's important, because come the restart, James Lay cannot overtake any of those slower cars until he gets past the start-finish line. So it's always going to hand Mark Williams a reasonable advantage. Third at the moment is number 5, which is Ben Stone. Fourth is 54, which is James Sweetnam. And fifth is the number 50 car, which leads the Radical SR1 charge at the moment. That is number 50, Dougie Bolger. 6th place is 11, Chris Short. 7th place is number 73, which is Tom Fleming. He's the second of the Radical SR1s we've got in the field. 8th is number 4, Chris Preen. 9th is 77, which is Noah Dineball, who is the championship leader coming into this weekend. And completing the top 10, we also complete the Radical SR1 podium, because that is number 20, which is Tom Wood. So that's the order, with now just, 7 and a bit minutes of the race remaining. Mark Williams desperate to maybe try and get things back underway with a good restart. He'll be quite happy, actually, for the safety car to stay out there for a few more laps, because, no disrespect to Mark, he is new to the Radical Challenge this year. He's used to driving the SR1, but the SR3 is an entirely different beast, and he is potentially on for his first win in the Radical Challenge. The Scotsman, the man from Dalkeith. But if he can eke out another lap or two behind the safety car, it's another lap or two where he hasn't got to watch his mirrors. So there he goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars. The 10th car back, number 39. That car there, the black and yellow car, is James Lay. So there's, 8, 9 back markers between first and second in this race. And that is a big, big helping hand to Mark Williams. The lights are still on the safety car. I think James Hadley's car at Cops Corner has now been winched out of the way. Took a lap or two just to ensure that it was safe to deploy the rescue unit and the recovery truck out there. Now, if we're good to go racing, the lights should be extinguished on the safety car any second now, which they do. They go out, so we're going to get things back underway. There'll be about 5 minutes remaining as the cars head over the start-finish line. And for Mark Williams, remember, he's got all of those back markers between himself and James Lay, and James Lay cannot overtake any of them until the start-finish line. There's the black car with its yellow flashes. That's the car that's second in the race, James Lay. And he's got all of those cars. He's just going to have to wait patiently before he can squeeze his way through and past. Your white car, Ben Stone, will be third in this race. But for James Sweetnam, for Dougie Bolger, for Chris Short, Tom Fleming, Chris Preen, Noah Dimeball, Tom Wood, they've all got the opportunity to try and gain places in what are the remaining, 5 minutes of this race now. So here we go, about to get racing back underway for the 12th round of the Radical Challenge, the 9th round of the SR1 Cup. Mark Williams just weaving from side to side. And he's going to get things going. Excuse me, get things going again. There's Noah Dimeball, the championship leader. He'll be hugely keen to get things going. He's got Chris Preen right ahead of him. That would be full position. And we go back to green flag racing once more. Remember, no overtaking until they've got to the start-finish line. How many places can James Lay pick up when he gets there? Well, he's snuck through and ahead of at least one or two of the back markers. But it's the gap between Mark Williams and James Lay we need to try and keep an eye on. The difficulty for James Lay is that he has not got clean air, whereas for Mark Williams, he has. Looking in the background, James Lay sneaks up on the inside of another 2 or 3 cars, so there are about 8 cars between himself and Mark Williams at the restart. How many are there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there goes the black and yellow car of James Lay. So he's now going to be able to pick off the next of the cars, which is going to be Gustavo Raffles as they head down the hangar straight. He's sitting directly behind Gustavo Raffles. He'll junk out from behind. He's looking for the inside line as they head up towards Stowe Corner. Should be able to sneak his way through. And onto the run-off tarmac goes Jim Booth, the American, at the wheel of his SR10. So at least that's another bit of traffic that now James Lay does not have to deal with. How many more cars does he need to overtake? Only 2 more now. His next target that he needs is going to be Darrell de Leon's Radical SR1, which again, the more powerful SR3 of James Lay should pick that off. I'm not sure he'll do it on the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight, but he should do it by the time they get towards the braking area for Village. So sweeping their way through Abbey up towards Farm. That will be the squabble that we need to try and keep an eye on, because I think James Lay will gain a further place by the time they get in towards the braking area. Yeah, he's trying to sneak up the inside there. You can see in the background of Darrell de Leon. And once he's done that, there's only 1 more car between himself and this car here, the race leader, number 18, Mark Williams, and that will be the number 80 car of Peter Tyler. And Peter is running in 19th position overall in the race at the moment, so he is a back marker. The Grey and Dayglow car is just that a little bit further up the road currently. And for Peter Tyler, who is a graduate out of the SR1 Cup, he has got the reigning SR1 Cup champion, James Lay, closing in on him to lap him and trying to charge down this car here, the number 18 car in the hands of Mark Williams, who is also a graduate out of the SR1 Cup. Just going to show that you start at the bottom rung of the Radical ladder, the SR1 Cup, work your way up into Challenge, and then from there, obviously we always used to have the European Championship as well, which used to be the top rung of the ladder. So over the start-finish line now come. Now Mark Williams here, I think he's coming under pressure from Peter Tyler, but James Lay has closed in enormously on that lap. James Lay was 2.2 seconds quicker than Mark Williams on that lap, and bearing in mind, he's overtaken, 7 or 8 cars in the process as well, to be quicker still, even with the overtakes. Goes to show that I think Mark Williams' lead is going to be short-lived. He still leads as Peter Tyler unlaps himself, but nose to tail for the lead of the race. Mark Williams really struggling now and sweeping effortlessly around the outside at Beckett. Goes James Lay into the lead of the race. So James Lay picks up the lead of the race. He will place a lap on Peter Tyler's car. This is not full position. The number 80 car is off the lead lap, or is about to be placed off the lead lap. So James Lay leads the way. It is Mark Williams now in 2nd position, and Mark Williams is also coming under pressure by the look of things from the car of Darrell de Leon, the Radical SR1. Now Darrell de Leon is down in 19th position at the moment, so even if that SR1 sneaks through, it is not for position. Mark Williams would still hang on to 2nd. 3rd is this car here, which is Noah Dimeball. 4th at the moment is James Sweetnam there, just heading through shot. The black and blue and white car. And then Chris Preen at the wheel of the number 4 car there is in 6th place. He is trying to hunt down Chris Short, who's a little bit further up the road, so it really has shuffled the order. We've got lots of cars that are lapped, fighting away with cars that are on the lead lap at the moment, and we've only got less than 60 seconds to go. Now I think by the time that James Lay heads up the Wellington Straight and in towards Brooklands and Luffield, I think the clock won't quite be at 0, so I suspect he might just squeeze one further lap out of this one. So he's on lap 17 at the moment. He set the fastest lap of the race. That was back on lap 13 at 2 minutes 18.041, which was just before the safety car came out. And as he threads his way through Luffield, there is the car that he's taken the lead away from, Mark Williams, who either way is on for his best result. But he does need to watch his mirror still, because with one more lap to go, the number 77 car of Noah Dineball is closing in all of the time. So seconds to go as over the start-finish line comes James Lay. He leads the way. You can see him again just moving over onto the damp tarmac to try and cool those tyres off as much as he possibly can. Runs a little bit wide onto the curbs, but not by much coming out of Copse Corner. Mark Williams still looking to hang on to 2nd place in the background, but the red car of Noah Dineball has just set the fastest lap of the race in 3rd position, 2 minutes 17.085, and I think Mark Williams might lose 2nd here as we look at James Lay, the race leader. Behind him is going to be Mark Williams, or is it? No, Noah Dineball is already through, so the number 77 car has already got up into 2nd position, and the white and blue car of Mark Williams is down into 3rd and is losing time hand over fist. He's about to have a draw alongside him, the car that's running in 20th position, which is Gustavo Raffles, so that won't be for position if he makes his way through, Gustavo Raffles, but watch out for that black and blue car in the background, because that would mean that James Sweetenham would pick up the podium place if he can catch and get past Mark Williams. So Mark Williams, having led the race for a good period of time, might actually end up not even on the podium potentially. We'll have to try and keep an eye towards that one. James Lay leading the way, 77, the red car, Noah Dineball there in 2nd position. But Mark Williams in 3rd, or is he still? Quick look at the background of the shot. No, he's still there in 3rd, but the black and the blue car is hunting him down at this stage and is closing in hand over fist. They come up towards Abbey Corner now. There is Mark Williams in 3rd place. Right behind him is James Sweetenham in 4th position. But is he going to hang on to the podium spot? I'm not entirely sure he is, looking at the relative pace of the car. So Noah Dineball is in 2nd place, but in the background, I think I saw James Sweetenham trying to pull a move on Mark Williams to sneak his way through. So I think Mark Williams might already have lost 3rd position as we head up the Wellington Straight for the final time. James Lay leads, Noah Dineball 2nd. Who is in 3rd? Is it Mark Williams or is it the black car that comes through? No, he's made it through. James Sweetenham is through and into 3rd place by the look of the shot that we got there. But for James Lay, he's just working his way up towards the final corner and is going to claim victory in round 12 of the Radical Challenge Championship. For number 18, Mark Williams, he is going to finish off the podium, I'm afraid, and in 4th position. Just wasn't meant to be for him. So James Lay claims the win. The number 39 car comes through to pick up the win. He will also pick up the success penalty for next time out these cars are racing, which is going to be at Alton Park on the 13th of August. Noah Dineball, the championship leader, finishes in 2nd position ahead of James Sweetenham, who picked up 3rd in the closing stages, and Chris Short finishes 4th in the end and picks up the win in the Fangio Trophy from Mark Williams, who drops to 5th and not only doesn't finish on the podium but also doesn't get the Fangio win in the end, as he was picked off by Chris Short on the final lap. Oh, what could have been for him. Number 4, Chris Preen, comes through to finish in 6th place ahead of 7th place Chris Myhill, who came through from 18th on the grid, so a good race from Chris Myhill. Then 8th position is going to be Ben Stone, 9th place is 58 Anthony Ayres, and 10th will be the winner of the Radical SR1 in the end, which was going to be Tom Wood, who managed to go through and pick up the win in that from Tom Fleming, who was 2nd in the SR1s, and 3rd in the SR1s in the end was Dougie Bolger, the number 50 car, who was leading it for a very, very good period of time. So James Lay is going to be a very, very happy man indeed. He is unbeaten this weekend, as he was last time out at Snetterton, when he claimed all 3 races over the course of the weekend and scored maximum points. He actually set fastest lap and set pole position in each one of those races as well, and it's not quite been the same clean sweep because Noah Dineball set the fastest lap of the race in race 1 of the weekend. So either way has been a fantastic weekend for James Lay, and I suspect that he may well leave Silverstone as the championship leader. So just quickly, just to run you through the top 6. James Lay is the winner, 77 Noah Diamond second, 54 James Sweetman third, fourth, and the winner of the Fangio Trophy, Chris Short, fifth was Mark Williams, number 18, and completing the top 6 was Chris Preen. The winner of the SR1 category was down there in 10th place, Tom Wood. So that's it from the Radical Challenge Championship and the Radical SR1 Cup here at Silverstone. Join us next time out when we're at Alton Park in Cheshire on the 13th of August. Until then, goodbye.